Hi, my name is JD and I am with the Cosmopolitan Coalition of United Earth. And in this video, we'll be looking at proportional ranked choice voting, specifically proportional ranked choice voting where the number of winners is at least 5. And in this example, exactly 5. So proportional ranked choice voting is similar to ranked choice voting, except there are multiple winners. This can be accomplished by increasing the number of winners per district or by combining several districts into one larger district. So in this example, we have a ballot, and just to show you how easy it is to cast a proportional ranked choice vote, it's no different than casting a ranked choice vote. You come in, you look for your first choice, then you go in, you look for your second choice, then you go in for your third choice, and then you can go in for your fourth choice, and so on and so forth. And that's it. And really all that's doing is asking you the question, if your first choice candidate didn't get in, who's your second? And if your second didn't get in, who's your third? And so on and so forth. And so as we can see, when this occurs, and all the information is calculated after the polls close, we can see we have this vote share, which has been the same throughout the entire website if you've been onto other voting videos, and we can see how it results in this kind of outcome. And we can see they're pretty close. Orange, B from orange, D from yellow, F from green, G from blue, and J from purple are the representatives that will ultimately get selected here. And we can see how second and third choice votes were used to build up their support from different candidates. And as a result of this, most everyone's represented. And because the proportions are maintained from seats to committees, we can say that there are 5 seats and there's your proportions. And then the committee control is also proportional within those 5 seats. Now, other districts are a little different, so you might end up with some distortions in the overall legislature, but within each district of sufficient size, you should end up with proper proportions, which in the aggregate should more or less reflect your legislature. Now for this video, we're going to go ahead and process the proportional ranked choice votes one step at a time just to educate you. But if you're a voter and you just care about how you need to vote, you already know what you need to know. If you're interested in the actual calculation and how we go through it to get to this answer, we're going to be doing that now. So in proportional ranked choice voting round 1, G blue has more than the required number of votes and is the first winner, receiving a seat. No candidates are eliminated yet as G blue has 24% of the vote. So what that's saying is, since we have 5 winners, 100% divided by 20%, divided by 5 is 20%. So each candidate needs 20%. Now, in certain implementations of this, there's like quota rules and there's some other deviations from this, but suffice to say, you should end up with something that looks kind of like what we have at the end of the run, even under those circumstances. And if you don't, you should. So, in proportional ranked choice voting round 2, blue receives 4% from G because that was the excess, which is added to I blue's initial 2%. I'm going to refer to them by their letters only going forward, unless there are no candidates remaining of different colors. So I receives 4% from G, which is added to I's initial 2%, and that brings the total to 6%. H, having only 4% of the vote, is now the candidate with the fewest votes and is set to be eliminated. So we've established our first winner. Every winner will have a little crown next to their letter. And then after the next step is once you have no winners remaining and you have to start getting rid of losers, you look at the one with the least number of votes. Now, because blue, even though it had 2%, it received votes from the other candidate first, which actually made it larger. It brought it to a large 6%, meaning that H 4% was the lowest remaining. And so for that reason, it was eliminated first. H transfers 1% to I, increasing I's to 7%. The remaining 3% from H is dropped. That leaves A, red, with 5%, making it the next candidate eliminated. All 5% of A is transferred to B, raising B's to 22%. Now, since that put it over the threshold, just like with G earlier, that 2% is transferred to the third choice voters, which in this case was C, orange, bringing orange to 10%. I'm sorry, C, orange, bringing them to 10%. This leaves I with a collective 7%, which is still the lowest number, making them the next candidate to be eliminated. And we can see that here. So in the 5th round, all of I's votes, 2%, and 4% from G and 1% from H are transferred to J. This is because of how the voters voted in the simulation. There's no specific reason for why it was those specific percentages. We are moving them along to show you how they move. So H are transferred to J, bringing J to 15%. This leaves E, which is yellow, with 9%, and making them the next candidate to be eliminated. So in that scenario, once you get to 6, D, yellow, reaches 20%, and that's because E just immediately transferred second choice into the other yellow candidate, and so that brought them straight to 20% right there on the line. Boom, they're your next winner. This means that C, orange, is the next to be eliminated. So that's 7% from C and 1% from A, because they were the second or third choice voters, transfers to F, green. That's what they wanted, bringing F to 20%, securing a seat. The remaining 2% drop, bringing the total drops to 5%. J, purple, is the last candidate standing with 15% and is the final winner. Now, even though they didn't get 20%, because there were no candidates remaining, they achieved what was necessary in order to clinch the final spot that was left, and that's how you get your 5. And so you can see, if we start here from round 1, looking here, we can see that your rainbow pie pretty much matches your rainbow pie at the end. So while we're here, let's talk about party list systems, because party list systems claim proportionality, and they are proportional, but they're not proportional of the voters' interests. They're proportional of the party's interests. Voters are compelled to vote for the preferred candidate or attempt to override the party by achieving a higher threshold. This system seems proportionally representative of the voters, but it is not. It is proportionally representative of the parties. Closed party list systems are a kind of list system where the candidates are pre-approved by the party, or there is a separate exclusive primary system before the election. The voters cannot select their candidates. Semi-open party list systems, the party faction leaders are still substituting their will for the voters' will in most cases. However, voters can attempt to override the party leadership by achieving a higher level of threshold. And now the best version of party list systems is the open party list system. Voters have more control over direct candidate selection. However, this occurs within the party itself. Crossing preferences into other party candidates and independent candidates is still near impossible and impractical. Very, very few party list systems are implemented in an open and independent way. Now let's address some autocratic concerns of proportional ranked choice voting. Because since we're wanting to represent the Earth, there are autocratic nations and who are like kind of concerned. So let's address some of those concerns. Proportional ranked choice voting is one-party compatible because a one-party state is effectively the same as a no-party state. And since this system is all about the individual voter to the individual representative, the power of factions is reduced. You don't need factions in order to use proportional ranked choice voting, which means the criticism of factional voting is removed from autocratic concerns. And since individual factions can't gain a huge amount of power or a majority, this protects against disunity in one-party states. The ability of voters to cross faction lines ensures no faction can get so much power as to lead to disunity among the general population. This also empowers local leadership in one-party systems. So in states with only one faction or no faction, the ability for locals to choose specific individuals brings experience and insight not available to distant centralized party leadership. So if the goal of centralized party leadership is for everyone to be on the same team, which they are because you are a one-party system, you can still give choice to the locals, which you effectively do within a block voting system, but you can do that within proportional ranked choice voting as well by just having no parties. And as long as everyone can run for office who wants to run, and as everyone can vote who wants to vote, you can still end up with a cohesive system that works together and is extremely representative. More representative, in fact, than most true democracies today, because it is more representative than plurality voting. So we find that proportional ranked choice voting is a more representative way. It protects diversity, breaks deadlocks, enhances efficiency, empowers party members, increases leverage for legislatures, ensures neutrality, promotes cooperation, and is overall a really good way to represent everyone, everywhere, all of the time. If you'd like to compare the other systems that we have looked at so far, you can do so by going into any of their individuals. But as we can see, there's nothing that comes close to proportional ranked choice voting. I will say a shout out to STAR. not star single winner, that suffers the same problem as ranked choice voting, but star multi-winner does have proportionality. The only problem is the way you calculate it is extraordinarily complex, difficult to explain, and can often lead to chaotic results depending on how it's implemented. So we still support proportional ranked choice voting. This website, this webpage, and this video are all a work in progress, excuse me. So if you'd like to help perhaps make a better version of this video, then you can contribute now by going to our sign up page. If you want to be an audience member and just sign up to get updates, you can do so there. If you want to be a supporter and publicly show yourself on a map so that we can see who supports us, you can put your city or your state or your country, doesn't matter. It's up to you about how specific you want to be about your location, but you can go ahead and be a supporter there. Both options are free, they cost nothing. If you would like to provide your time or your money, we do have a volunteer and donor sign-up form. And if you'd like to be a community leader, perhaps start your own coalition locally or use your abilities within your own organizations to bring some of these focus areas to life in your own areas, we would love to hear from you. Again, my name is JD. I am with the Cosmopolitan Coalition of United Earth, and I'd like to thank you for your time.